Hello and welcome. So this is going to be a lore reading. See what we have learned. Alright, what do we have here? Ash Wraith. Legend has it that when Andraste's ashes were taken into hiding, some of her closest disciples gave themselves to the fire, that their restless souls might remain to guard her final resting place forever. Whether they are spirits of Andraste's disciples or mere fade spirits, the temple that houses the sacred urn is filled with wraiths. Created from a burnt corpse, an ash wraith is a powerful amorphous opponent, able to lash and smother, while being immune to most physical attacks, even if successfully dispersed, can reform at a later time. A magic is the only real way to fight such a creature. Wind and ice attacks being the most useful. They are capable of creating small whirlwinds that are devastating to anyone unfortunate enough to get close, and their touch leaves a person drained. So we encountered that not in the Temple of Andraste, at Soldier's Peak. Anyway, history. History of Soldier's Peak, Chapter 1. The Grey Warden's base at Soldier's Peak was built in the middle of the Glory Age, several decades after the Second Blight was ended. Before then, the Grey Wardens in Ferelden would take up residence in castles and forts that belonged to generous nobles. Warden Commander Gaspar Asturian desired a fortified headquarters where his forces could train and live. He planned that Soldier's Peak would be a city unto itself. The defeat of the Darkspawn and the archdemon Zazikel was fresh in the minds of Ferelden people, and there were many willing to donate gold to build Commander Asturian's fortress. Soldier's Peak was completed within 10 years and dedicated to the Maker in 934 glory. From the History of the Grey Wardens in Ferelden by Brother Genetivi, a Chantry scholar. I'm just doing a quick search just on the timeline. Glory, let's see. Okay. Yeah, I was correct. So, Ferelden is from the Exalted Age. This is saying Soldier's Peak was made in glory. Glory preceded Exalted, so yeah, this is not entirely correct. Possibly referring to, anachronistically referring to the area as Ferelden, even though it wasn't actually Ferelden at that point. Alright. As he approached his 60th year, rumors swirled that the corruption in Warden Commander Asturian's blood was beginning to take its toll. According to reports from that time, the commander experienced terrifying waking dreams and heard his name whispered from the dark corners of Soldier's Peak. It is said that Asturian would spend hours locked up alone in the great hall of the base, muttering to himself, although no one was ever able to make out what he was saying. Many also believed that Asturian began in secret to draw up plans to expand his fortress, adding to it hidden passages and alcoves, all to protect himself from the shadows that pursued him. I feel like he was afraid of shadows. You know, being on an open plain would probably be better for that. No one knows whether Asturian was able to complete his project, for his deterioration had become obvious to anyone who spent any amount of time with him. He was quickly replaced by Warden Commander Frida Halwick. Asturian was taken to Orzammar, where he submitted to the calling and the last rite of the Grey Wardens, and went to his death with honor. From the History of the Grey Wardens in Ferelden by Brother Genetivi, a Chantry scholar. After Asturian's death, rumors and theories became increasingly outlandish. One of the more ridiculous rumors told of Asturian's infatuation with an elven princess of lore, whom he was trying to resurrect in a secret ritual chamber through the use of blood magic and the prince's favorite food, raspberry jam. Not actually sure how old the raspberry process of making jam is. My understanding is that it involves a lot of like pure sugar, and pure sugar is pretty rare, like very expensive, difficult to come by. It's a lot more common to use other things as sweeteners, like honey and lead. And I believe they also were aware that lead was potentially slightly poisonous, but they used it anyway. Warden Commander Frida Hauek launched a thorough investigation into Asturian's secret plans, but was unable to uncover any evidence that anything in Soldier's Peak had been changed. Commander Hauek declared that the rumors about Asturian were a slight on his memory, and that anyone found repeating them would be harshly punished. The stories were thus silenced. Interesting. Might actually be old enough that, a pseudo Middle Ages is civilization could have jam. There was one mystery, however, that persisted, and this mystery perplexed even Commander Hauck herself. When Commander Asturian went to his calling in the deep roads, he did not have in his hand his sword, Asturian's might, forged for him by Dwarven smiths and presented to him upon the completion of Soldier's Peak, nor did he pass the sword on to a successor or any other Grey Warden. While some maintained that Asturian had simply destroyed the sword in his dotage, others believed he had stashed it away somewhere in Soldier's Peak. One young warden claimed that Asturian had once grabbed him by the shoulders, fixed him with an unwavering gaze, and said, "The sword will remind you of what it is to be a warden. Speak your oath to me. When the shadows come, you must speak the words." What this was supposed to mean was never made clear. Yep. Brother Genetivi. Alright. Characters. Let's see, who do we have? Sophia Dryden. Sophia Dryden is Ferelden's light and her most brilliant jewel. Nothing on this earth can ever quench her fire. Arlessa, Sophia Dryden was the young Arlen's rival for the throne of Ferelden. Dryden was a strong and charismatic leader with much support from the Banorn. When Arlen finally won the crown, Dryden refused to relent. She pushed her claim, was caught and accused of treason. Well, yes. Generally trying to dethrone the king. Depose the king is considered to be treason. At least if you're one of his subjects. Her sympathizers continued to support her, however. In order to appease them, Dryden was spared execution and forced to join the Grey Wardens instead. Grey Wardens is ceding to political pressure, I see. Dryden survived the joining and dazzled the Grey Wardens at Soldier's Peak with her leadership skills and charm. She eventually rose through the ranks to become the Warden Commander of Ferelden. Before Commander Dryden, the Grey Wardens were seen as a relic of an older time, an unnecessary drain on the nobles' coffers. Dryden, though, with her political connections, reinvigorated the Wardens and rapidly increased their numbers. In the meantime, King Arlen proved himself a devious king, willing to go to brutal lengths to silence his opponents. Arlen's reign of terror grew worse with each passing year. Some of the bands approached the Commander Dryden in desperation, begging her to intercede. She agreed, and thus the rebellion against King Arlen was born. Arlen learned of the rebellion and took steps to end it. He publicly suspended all tithing to the Wardens and declared that they were no longer welcome in Ferelden. Some of the Wardens, mindful that they were supposed to remain politically neutral, felt disgraced by Dryden's involvement in Ferelden politics and left his side even as the king's forces lay siege to Soldier's Peak. The siege took months to end with the end, and ended with the death of Sophia Dryden. The personal files of Livy Dryden, merchant. Yeah, that was kind of one of the things as one of the ways that a knightly fighting order, such as Grey Warden seemed to be, you could get funding, was basically being given taxes. Rights to collect taxes in a realm. The other ways being like donations or like getting their own realm fiefs, lands, that sort. Addendum: King Arland had driven the Grey Wardens from Ferelden, and after the siege of Soldier's Peak, the base was abandoned. When Soldier's Peak was finally entered again for the first time in centuries, it was discovered that Sophia Dryden had been possessed by a demon. I'm surprised you actually want that written down. Songs. Alright, what's this? Sophia Dryden's journal. 21 Elovista. It is done. The nobles have thrown their lot in with Ireland. Ireland, the snot-nosed man-child. Ireland, who did not walk till he was in his 5th year. Ireland, who would to be pried off his nursemaid's breast not 2 years ago. Or so it is whispered. The Terns and the Arls believe him to be a simpleton and easily led, but I have seen something in the boy's eye, and it terrifies me. She once sees him as being a definite threat, but also pathetic. And also noting the danger of the powers that be seeing someone as being an easily controlled figurehead and proving to be mistaken. 10 Molioris. I watched the Summer Day procession from a room high in Fort Drakon. The regent has me for treason, when my only guilt is that of being true to my country and my heart. My guard's tongue was easily loosened with the gift of a ruby ring, and I am told that the bands are fighting against my sentence. I shall pray, but not hope, that it will be anything but the gallows for me. 2 Ferventus. The draught was like bitter fire, but I survived. Weep for me, for I survived. Would that I had made a clean end for me. That they had made a clean end for me. I should have died a lady, the greatest of the Dryadens, not lived to become this nothing, this monstrous nothing. 19 Matronalis. Enough, I shall waste no more time with this wretched womanish lamentation. Internalized misogyny, yay. Death would have been easy, but fate saw fit to spare me, and I will seize upon this chance. The Grey Wardens are an army, and the commander is weak, a wisp of a man. I will inspire the Wardens, and Ireland will rue the day he spared my life. Selected entries from the journal of Warden Commander Sophia Dryden. So she planned, pretty much as soon as she got to know the Grey Warden command structure, to turn them into her own army. You know, that's... Well, I suppose you could still get that if you just relied on volunteers. But I kind of suspect that someone who is actually interested in power and control would not, and knew what the Grey Wardens were all about, and what they risked, probably would be like, I can find power a different way. A letter from Ban Mathin Wolf. Sophia, Alran and his entire family have been slaughtered, even the children. The Ran line is no more. The Arling belongs to the crown for now. Arlen believes Ran was plotting against him. Ran criticized the king's spending on winter's end. That is all. It was an idle word spoken out of turn. The king goes too far. His brain is filled with madness, and he clings to the crown like a drowning man clutches at a straw. Sophia, I beg you, help us. If nothing is done more, will suffer your humble servant, Wolf. Avernus notes, the taint allows us to sense darkspawn. The longer we survive with the taint in our blood, the more potent it becomes. Unfortunately, this corruption will eventually overwhelm the warden. Over time, it devours both mind and body, leaving nothing. But what if the spread of corruption could be stopped or contained in some way? What if the warden could become more powerful without having that power kill him? How great would that power be? Would it be enough to stop the demons? The joining ritual's crude. Agreed. I think after many centuries they'd be able to come up with something better. We take into ourselves the blood of the darkspawn in the most obvious way, most die from the corruption immediately. It is, after all, poison. There must be some way to refine the joining, isolate the true power that is found in the darkspawn blood, and leave behind the evil that kills us. I was wondering if Avernus was the Grey Warden himself. I can feel the corruption starting to take its toll on my body. I must not succumb. There is too much work to be done. Through magic, I've been able to slow its inevitable spread, but that does not stop it completely. I am starting to hear things, even while awake, a voice more beautiful than any other that calls to me from the depths. In my dreams, I see the Black City, and I am drawn towards it. There is something there, an answer to what this taint is, this taint that we share with the Darkspawn. Notes of Avernus. A plea from Commander Athlar. Soldier's Peak is more than we bargained for. There is sinister magic at work here. The men are seeing things and cannot tell nightmares from reality. The fallen have returned to life again and again, and we are assaulted by dark creatures the likes of which I have never seen. Whoever is responsible is intent on destroying us all. The King's army and the Grey Wardens both. Send help. We cannot last much longer. My question is that because Avernus had already summoned demons at that point to weaken the veil? Or is it potentially hallucinations, possibly owing to lack of food, which I'm not sure can actually cause hallucinations, but maybe can. Though, credits. Reynolds' plea. Should you find this note, I beg you, please complete my task. I'm Reynold, master mage and mentor to the misguided fool, Heshir. It seems that my young apprentice got mixed up in magic unmentionable, for which I pledged to pursue him to the ends of the world. If you are reading this, then my apprentice caught up to me. I thought you were pursuing him, and choked from me my last breath. I beg you to delve into this ancient elven forest and end the threat of the abomination my beloved apprentice has become. Should you do this, I beg you, keep the feldspar ring you find on my apprentice's finger as a token of my thanks. And may you never know profound failure such as I feel as I write this. Alright, and that's all for this one. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Do any relevant things with YouTube's buttons, and have a nice day.